How we doing, guys? I'm excited today. It's going to be finally time to try and get this thing fired up. All those months of hard work trying to get this thing ready to go. I think today is going to be the day we're going to get this thing fired up. We have a few things to do quick before we can try it. But last video, you saw me dealing with the whole debacle of the Hydro Boost and whether I got scammed out of that thing or not. I did receive it, I guess, so it's a nice unit, but we got that installed on the last video. I do have to bleed the system yet, so we'll do that today. There's kind of a little procedure for doing that, and we'll get the get the power hooked up to it, make sure this thing doesn't burn down, and all my electrical work came out right. Also, we have, let's see, we got kind of some fluids to kind of top off too once this thing is done, but we'll get this thing fired up here pretty soon. And but we got to just kind of test some things out first before we actually put power to it. So right now I actually have the injectors unhooked, but just so it doesn't fire up. But we're going to make sure this thing cranks over and just see if we can get it fired up. So let's get to it. All right, there we go. It took a little bit, but it finally, it's kind of hard to see. It's light's too bright here, but it took a while to get that fluid to kind of drain in there. I thought I had all that down, but yeah, it started, you could definitely tell once I cranked it over a couple times and ran through left to right a bunch of times, it finally was starting to get real stiff. So it's starting to draw fluid through there. So I got to do that a bunch more times before I can start it here. So, all right, it's time. I got the injectors plugged back in. Let's see if this mofo doesn't start up here. So I think I got the fuel pressure regulator adjusted somewhat close. Getting any throttle response. I don't know what's going on there, but she's running. Doesn't sound too bad either. I don't hear any exhaust leaks. I don't have coolant in it either, so I just wanted to make sure it finally ran, but hey, it doesn't sound too bad, guys. Fired up, I don't know why I'm not getting throttle response. I'll have to look into that, but we'll keep digging into it here, but hey, we got it running. Well, I figured out why I wasn't getting any throttle out of this thing. It was telling me that the throttle was stuck open, so I looked inside here and I still had a rag in here when I was messing around with the intake. Just so I wouldn't get debris or a bolt or something would drop in there. So luckily that rag didn't get sucked in, but let's try it again, see if we can get a little throttle out of this thing. All right, let's fire it up here. throttle's working. So now that I've had it running for a little bit, I am getting some camshaft sensor codes. Basically both of them on the bank 2 side, or driver side this would be. So both cam sensors are actually located back here, and I would have to pull the motor to pull them sensors out. So I'm going to do some troubleshooting on the circuits themselves first, just to make sure. So if I do have to pull this engine back out just to get those two, or at least pull it forward to get them out, you know, I want to make sure that it's not the case and I'm not just putting them in for no reason. But it could also be the crankshaft sensor. I did put a new sensor in that, so I'm hoping that's not it. Maybe the new one just for some reason isn't working. I do have the old one, I think, sitting around, so I could always throw that in too and test it. That one's a little somewhat easier to get out. I don't have to pull the motor. I shouldn't have to pull the motor for that. So we'll do some testing on that, get back to this, see if we can't get this thing running smoothly, I guess, because right now it runs, but you can tell it's missing on a couple cylinders, or at least one. And we'll just do some testing and see if we can find something here, and I'll let you know. All right, I've been doing some troubleshooting on here, why for some reason these two cam sensors aren't reading right, or it's showing an intermittent signal, or basically not in time. I don't know if it's electrical or mechanical. There is a chance that when I did the chains on here, or when I had the engine apart, that maybe I timed those chains wrong. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Basically what I had ended up doing was I followed the procedure, because I have a manual for a 2016 Mustang with the 5.0. So I went off of that as far as timing chain procedure and timing it. Now it's got a different firing order from the truck, but from what I understand, or maybe I'm wrong here, but I think that the timing procedure would be the same. It's just that the cams have a different firing order on them, so the cams are made different to fire differently. So you know, everything, I'm pretty sure I did that right, but I could have screwed that up. Or when I first started this thing up, maybe it being there was no oil pressure right off the bat, that maybe that timing chain jumped a cog or something like that. So I'm hoping I don't have to dig into that and pull the front of the motor off again. I did do some testing on the sensors, both sides, because the top two, or the intake sensors, are Hall effect sensors. They're a little different than the magnetic ones for the exhaust cams. Both magnetic cam sensors are reading the same resistance when I check them. The wiring from them to the ECM is good, and also the wiring from the Hall effect sensors, the intake sensors on both, is good there. But I do believe I'm supposed to be having 5 volts coming to my Hall effect sensors. I'm actually getting 12 volts when I turn the key on. Now it's just a key on, and I'm getting 12 volts there. Another weird thing too is that the ground wire that goes back, when I have the key off, I'm getting continuity between there. It's going to ground basically. But when I turn the key on, then I'm getting high resistance kind of thing. So I don't know if there's something with that ECM that's maybe bad. So I got to do some more digging, kind of looking through my manuals and stuff, and just trying to figure out what's going on here. If I have to pull this motor apart again, if it has to come out, you know. If it's the timing chains, I'm probably going to leave the motor in here, because I think I got enough room to do all that up front, and then I don't have to pull everything. But both cam covers would have to come off, and you know, the whole front of the motor would have to come apart. It's just one thing I don't really want to have to pull the motor back out, but we'll get this thing sorted out here somehow. Okay, I got good news and I got bad news. Bad news is I do believe that my timing is wrong on the engine. I think that's the reason I'm getting my cam position sensor codes. I've done a bunch of kind of research and diagnosing, and I think all the sensors and the electrical part of the system is good. I think my timing is wrong though. Looking at the manual here, this is for the F-150, this is for the Mustang. I was kind of under the assumption, there I went and assumed, but I assumed that the timing, or like just the camshaft lobes were in different positions, but the timing and everything was the same between the Mustang and the F-150. But you can see right here in this picture for the F-150 that these little slots in the cam and then the gear would bolt to the front of that are in different positions than on the Mustang. So it's clocked in a different position. And then also too, when you set the crankshaft, I think on the Mustang they want it at a 330. Nope, the Mustang you're supposed to put it at a 5 o'clock position, and the F-150 is at the 330. So everything's just clocked a little different, and I'm pretty sure that's what's going on with the truck. You know, the truck runs, but it's missing too much. So I think that's what's going on. And just to be safe, I want to just redo it all and set the timing right according to the F-150 timing or to the manual. So that's where I'm at. Just about I got to take the dampener off the front here, and then I can get the front cover taken off. Now I did say that I had good news too. Good news is that I can get all this stuff off without having to pull the motor out again. Both cam covers or valve covers basically came off, and we're able to get out of there without having to unbolt the master cylinder or the brake booster, and this one here snuck by the heater box back there. So it should be okay. And as far as getting the dampener off, my tool does get in here to pull that off. Now when we go back together, that could be a different story, but everything should be able to come off. So I'm going to get that front cover pulled off. We'll get the timing reset, and hopefully we'll be back in business here. All right, so I'm going back together with the chains here, getting the timing done. I got the driver's side done first, the left side. Working on this side now. Getting ready to throw the main chain on here. The longer chains will go to each exhaust camshaft, sorry. And I just wanted to throw this little tidbit in there though, that I don't know if you can see it, but these cam phasers actually can be bolted on either side of the engine, whether it's the left or the right. And what I wanted to point out is right here, here's a timing mark, and then there's one right here. One is for the left side. This is the left side down here. This is the right side. They're pretty close, and if you're not paying attention, you might not be able to see it. This one has an L right by it. This one has a little R right by it. So when you're putting it together, just make sure you're paying attention to that, or you could screw that up. For whatever reason, they don't really throw that or say that in the instructions, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I just thought I'd point that out. So you got the left and the right sides. So pay attention to that, and you should be okay. So we'll get this other chain put on. Hopefully get the front cover on, start bolting this back up together, and have her running shortly. Okay, everything's back together. Well, I'm going to fire it up here real shortly. See if anything got fixed or not. I think that might have, hopefully was the problem, but let's get this thing fired up and see if she runs any better. Much better. Ooh, she sounds good. Yes, she sounds good. So yeah, apparently timing must have jumped, or I had it wrong the first time. So yeah, I think we'll get some water into it and get this thing maybe sitting on the ground. I have to you know, make sure that the fuel pressure is kind of set where it should be. I have to put check the fluid in the transmission now that it's running, because you have to do that while it's running, which is always fun to get at. But yeah, we'll check over fluids and stuff. Maybe get this thing sitting on the ground, see if it moves under its own power. So excited though, man. God, it sounds good. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap the video up there. We got the thing running. I'm super pumped about that. You know, there's going to be some fine tuning here and there, I'm sure. Got the fluids kind of the top off, make sure everything's good there. Next up, we'll probably be doing a road test. See how that thing does on the road. I do need to do the alignment. I don't know if I'm going to videotape that or not, but I want to go and kind of align it here first, get it as close as I can, and then maybe have it done somewhere else just to double check it. But man, big weight off my shoulders. The thing runs. You know, you never know when you buy a used motor and tranny and all that stuff, but we'll see how it goes. And man, I appreciate you guys sticking around through this whole thing with me. It's been fun so far, so it feels good to have it finally running and hopefully moving on its own power here. So until next time, guys, I appreciate it. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.